I was literally in tears.
As I follow in your footsteps, I know where my help is coming from. No matter the storm, just like Peter, together we could walk on water.
Okay, I don't even know where to start with this one. This one is going to be pretty lengthy, okay? This testimony / story is going to be pretty lengthy. So if you are not in the mood to sit and listen, this is just a heads up, okay? So remember how I told you all how God brought me here to Dallas for the job, right? How he told me that the job was just a vehicle. Remember I told y'all that, right? In my other testimony about how I obeyed God and took this job that I didn't want, okay? Yes, I wanted to move to Texas. I knew that that was God, but I didn't want to take a job where I was traveling pretty much all the time and only home on the weekends, right? But I did it because God told me to, okay? I'm obeying God, and I literally did it crying, y'all, because I just knew that this was not something that I was going to enjoy doing, right? But I tried to make the best of it because I did know the industry, right? I had gotten this promotion / move to corporate because of what I had done in my career, right? So this wasn't small potatoes, okay? This was a big deal taking this role, all right? The training for the job is like 9 weeks long. So before you even move into your region, you're training for like 9 weeks. You're traveling from state to state, different time zones. It's grueling. It's like 14-hour days, work days, like it's just difficult, right? You're dealing with all sorts of personalities and different people, and you have one trainer in this region, for this week, and then you have a different trainer in that region on another week, and then a different trainer for another week. And these are all different time zones, okay? So you are literally nonstop going, okay? But let me tell you this. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Lord. Let me rewind. Wow. Thank you, Lord. Y'all, it's so amazing how when you tell these stories, you just begin to recall the things that happen, right? Small details that are really big details, right? So let me rewind. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Let me rewind. Before I took the job, okay, there was another meeting that I was a part of where a man of God prophesied to me and told me that I was going to be in ministry. He prophesied so many things to me that were so accurate and confirming to what God had already shown me about my life, right? So it confirmed with my spirit. So I knew it was accurate. He even said, you are going to be moving. He even said that. Now, this is before the move came up, before the job came up, okay? Okay, I had to throw that out there. He said some other things I'm not going to get into because they're very personal, okay? But they are all God things, okay? So fast forward, maybe, I don't know, I want to say maybe a month or two later, okay? I was in this other prayer meeting, all right? And this woman began to prophesy to me, and she began to speak a lot of things that were confirming, again, things that God had shown me about myself. She didn't speak anything about the move or anything like that, but she did talk to me about what was going to happen with this next position level that I was going to, okay? Now, this was after I had taken the job, after I had said yes. I interviewed, went through all the cycles, went through all the panels, all the stuff, right? Said yes to the job, but it was before I started training, okay? So after I said yes to the job, before I started training, all right? She tells me that there's going to be some sabotage. She said, people are going to lie on you, and there's going to be a plot to take you down because of jealousy. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all, okay? I don't just receive prophetic words just because somebody said it, okay? Because it has to agree with my spirit. But the things that she said to me before that were spot on, okay? So I knew that she was tapped in, right? And she did not know anything about me taking this job. She didn't know anything about a move, nothing. This lady didn't know nothing about me, y'all, okay? Nothing, no details about my life, okay? So she proceeds to tell me that there's going to be some sabotage. There's going to be a plot. She said it was going to be a scheme, a plot, and people were going to collude with one another to discredit me because of jealousy and envy and because of the hand of God on me, right? She went into some other things about me that they confirmed, all right? But that part of it, I was like, I don't know if I want to receive that, okay? Because like, I don't got time for that. I'm just trying to live my life, okay? Who would possibly want to do that to me? But we got to remember, we have an adversary, right? So when she told me that, I immediately sort of felt this, I don't want to call it like anxiety or anything, but I immediately thought about this position. I was like, oh my goodness, is she talking about this role that I just said yes to in Dallas? Is this about to be not a good thing? Is this the reason I was crying and upset because I didn't want to do it, y'all? I told God, like, is there any other way? Because I don't want to take this. I just felt my spirit knew that the job was going to be, it wasn't going to be a good experience. My spirit knew beforehand. Okay. So what she prophesied, all right, part of that prophecy that she gave me about this move, and how difficult, well, not the move because she didn't know about the move, but about the next level that I was going to be so difficult. It kind of jarred me a little bit because I was like, oh my goodness, here we go. Right. But I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to obey the Lord. But she finished off by saying that it was going to work out in my favor, right? To not fear, don't be dismayed. It's going to work out in your favor because the hand of God is on you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I know that part. Okay. I know God is with me. That part I'm not confused about, but I don't want to go through no nonsense. Okay. Fast forward. That's just giving you the backstory. Okay. That's giving you the backstory. So you understand all that transpires as I come into this job. Okay. So first week of training. All right. I meet up with this lady who has been in her role for quite some time, right? She was doing the role that I was being trained for. She just had a different region. So I had to go to her region. I had to fly to her region to train with her. Okay. I go, and the first maybe day or two was okay. Now, when you travel and you're training, you are spending hours with this one particular person, whoever you're with, you're spending days with them. So it could be like that whole week, actually. So you're that whole week with them. You're hours with them during the day. And then, you're in the hotel together at night. You wake up, you're together from the start of the week to the end of the week. You go home, you're back at it again Monday in a different region with a different person. Okay. So I go. And everything was cool at first, right? But with any new job, there's always learning curves and things like that. So you have to learn the processes and procedures, and you pretty much have to go through all of the training and get to understand the role that you're in, the do's, the don'ts, all of the things that are required as an inspector, right? So it's very But the training is called like boot camp, okay? And they never lied, okay? Because it's boot camp all day, every day, okay? It's grueling. It's grueling. It's grueling, okay? Not only mentally is it grueling, physically it's grueling because you're on the go. You're up super early and you go to bed super late. So it's grueling. And you have all of this information to take in and learn in a short period of time. And you have people that have been doing it for so long that they really don't have the patience to show you, right? Or they might feel like you are a little bit more than what they thought you were coming in here, okay? You're a little bit more boss mode than they thought you were, and you have a little bit more understanding than they thought that you would, and your intellect is a lot sharper than they thought it would be. So they're not really able to sort of impress you in the sense of you're going to just be like, oh my God, like that, right? You're just here to learn the information and keep it moving to go on to your role so that you can master that, right? Okay. So I'm a very friendly person, y'all. I don't really meet a stranger. I love people, right? I'm a hugger, all those things, okay? But I'm not no punk, okay? By any stretch of the imagination, all right? So get to the job and we start the first week, okay? First couple days, I'm watching her do her thing. I'm taking my notes. I'm like, okay, paying attention to this. I'm asking questions when I need to, blah, 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 right? Training goes on. So by the end of that week, I could tell that I had entered into the mean girl zone, okay? Meaning I was being trained by a mean girl, okay? The culture itself was mean girl culture, okay? And it's not like it's only women that are like this. This was the culture, okay? And I was like, oh no, these people, they think too much of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like they are like some grown bullies on the playground, on the corporate playground, okay? So I'm listening and if I asked a question, she was being very condescending and just, you know how people get real snarky and just real, like, just nasty with you for no reason. And you just like, okay, but it's like a nice nasty. Or like when people do things and they think that it goes over your head, but you catching everything that they throwing, right? See, this is how unsuspecting I usually am, because people don't typically know that I am as discerning as I am, because you don't have to put it on blast, right? Whenever you are a person that's kind or you love people, people don't generally take you for a highly intelligent, discerning person. And that's your leverage, right? That usually is like your superpower, okay? So this is one of my superpowers, okay? So I realized I entered into mean girl culture, mean girl society, right? Okay, so I'm like, that's okay. I'm going to be in my own region in a couple months and this will be behind me and I won't have to deal, whatever. Y'all, this spiritual warfare became so strong. It became so thick that every Monday, when I got ready to fly out Monday morning, every time I got ready to fly out to the next region, my stomach would be just in knots, because not because I was afraid or because I was like, oh, somebody's going to be me, but because the spiritual warfare was real. It was real. It was like if I could remove the people from the position and just replace them with spirit beings, okay? I was dealing with some demonic forces that were trying to get me to quit, because I almost did like 2 or 3 times, okay? Now, so you have these people that are training me, right? Different regions, but then you also have a director, right? I told y'all this video is going to be, because I got to give you the context so you can understand what God did, y'all. You seen the title, okay? Just listen, okay? Just hold on, stick with me, all right? So I go to the next region, okay? And again, like I said, there's everybody that's in their own region that have been there for a while, sort of tenured people or whatever, and certain people get to train new incoming people, whatever. So just because you've been in the job for a long time does not mean that you know how to deal with people. It don't mean that you know how to train. It doesn't mean that you're qualified to lead people, any of that, okay? No training skills, no leadership skills whatsoever. Imagine being thrown into a place with somebody that doesn't know how to train you, that doesn't know how to talk to you, that doesn't know how to lead or even show you the proper way to do things. They just come in very peacocky, right? Trying to make sure that you understand that you will never be as good as them and that you will never take their place. Imagine going into a position like that and that person is training you, right? The chaos is just the spiritual warfare is so real. Okay. So I'm trying not to be repetitive, y'all, because I know I'll be sometimes saying stuff over and over. I'm trying not to do that. Okay. But the director is over them. And so every end of the week after my training in whatever region I'm in, that person then reports to the director and says, hey, this is how Letitia's doing. This happened, that happened, whatever the case. She did good on in this right here. Maybe we need to, maybe get a little stronger over here. That's pretty much it's feedback. Okay. It's feedback that goes back to the director, because even though you got hired for the job, even though you're in your 9 weeks of training, you're still sort of in a probationary period. So it's possible that they could say at the end of that, sorry, it's not working out, after you done already left your job and planned your life to move all across the country, right? They could say that. Okay. So for me, I was blessed to have my previous boss that I had just left, and he missed me and I missed him and the staff missed me and everybody missed me. And he was like, if you aren't happy, you let me know and you can come right back here. And I was like, well, no, we already replaced me with somebody. He's like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care. I will find somewhere for her to go and you can come back here because you just say the word. Because it was bittersweet me leaving anyway, right? So I had that door open. Plus my house was in North Carolina. So it's not like I don't got nowhere to go. I got my beautiful home here. I got my job here that I love, my staff here that I love, right? So I had this whole open door to go back to, okay? Just like say the word, you right back, boom, it's done, right? I was trying to hang on, y'all. So by the time the second week and third week rolled around, actually before that, but everything, it was starting to be like little nitpicky things, like here and there, like just nitpicky, like, oh, she's not doing this, or she forgot she left her laptop bag in the room when we left, and she had to go back and get her laptop back. Stupid stuff, like the dumbest things that you will report back to somebody that's absolutely a nothing thing. So say for instance, if we're leaving the hotel and I go, oh, shoot, you know what? I grabbed all my bags and looked like I didn't grab my laptop bag. Let me, and we're still in the hotel though, right? Let me go get it. Okay. Go get it. And that gets reported back. That happened one time ever. Okay. And it got reported back. But there were these attempts to make me look incompetent, to make me look like I didn't know my job. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. I know the accomplishments that I have just made, and those aren't lies. Those are real in black and white in numbers in real time. So you mean to tell me this is what I told the director? Y'all, I'm getting ahead of myself because it's so much. Okay. And I'm looking at the clock here and I'm trying to hurry up, but it's so much. Okay. So fast forward. So these little jabs kept being more and more and more and more, right? To the point where it just was like, now it's tension. Now it's tension, because think about it. You got one person training you, okay? And then that person is going to report to not only just the director, but they're going to tell the next person that's training you, oh, this and that, or I don't like her, or whatever, right? So now you're going to meet a brand new person that's never met you, that has already drawn a conclusion about who you are based off of this person that they had already been working with for a long time and some years, right? Even though they don't like each other. Even though they don't like each other, okay? But the dislike for you is something for them to sort of bond over, right? So I go to the next region and another mean girl, right? Another mean girl. And it's the same thing. And it was the dumbest stuff. And it began to be so bad that they started to make up things and lie on me. And that's when I just lost it. Because at the end of the week, like I said, you get this, they report to the director. And how it goes is I'm in the airport and the director will call you and say, hey, so how did your week go? And how did this and this and that? And you give them your feedback. Well, it was good. Or I think I'm getting it. Maybe this part right here, I probably need to study a little bit more, blah, 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 blah. You giving them your feedback and they're giving you the feedback that they get, right? Y'all, the director tells me that the person that just trained me told her that I pretty much allowed somebody to do something that was considered illegal in the actual inspection process, right? So I allowed this business that we went to inspect. I allowed the person to persuade me to not do something that should have been a fail for them, okay? A lie and a half, a lie times a lie, okay? Never happened, did not occur, okay? So now remember, I'm tired, I'm sleep deprived, I'm working these long 14-hour days, different time zones. It's a lot of information to take in. Oh my goodness, you got to learn this system that is extremely complicated when you're first learning it. You get the hang of it after you get it. But learn coming into it, if you don't have a person training you right, oh my goodness, it's like looking at Chinese, okay? It's like whoa. So it takes a minute, okay? So there's a lot to take in. Then you got the move that I had to do, right, from North Carolina to Texas. So I'm trying to figure out that, how am I going to do this? What I'm going to do in my house? Am I going to rent it? There's all this, right? All these 14-hour days for weeks. And then by the time you get home on the weekend, you are literally so exhausted that you pretty much sleep the whole first day you're back, okay? Because you're catching up on the sleep that you didn't get, right? And then by the time you get a little bit of rest, it's time for you to fly back out again. So this is what goes on for over 2 months. Okay. So the director calls me. I'm at the airport, right? And I want to say this might have been like week 3 or 4. This was probably like in the middle of the training, because I was already like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I don't think. I was like literally talking to my family. I was talking to like different, like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know if this is for me. Like this is just this a lot. I'm dealing, the spiritual warfare was heavy. It was heavy, and it was coming in like it was crushing me at a time when I just had a million things that I had to do for the job, for the move, all of it, right? So it was hard for me to sort of combat it, right? Felt like I kept on getting knocked, like that. So I'm in the airport. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I keep getting on track, but here I go. Okay. I'm in the airport. The director calls me and she goes, hey, so how was everything? Da, da, da. I'm like, oh, I think this week was good. Now, also the feedback that the person training you is supposed to give you is supposed to be match the feedback that you get from the director. So there should never be anything that the director is telling you that the person training you has not told you or did not discuss with you during the training. Okay. Feedback should be seamless. All right. So you're not getting sidetracked, like shocked by anything. Okay. She calls me. I'm in the airport, y'all. I had to walk. Oh my God. I had to walk a long way with my luggage, and I'm tired and I'm hot, and I finally get to, sit down at the gate. And before I even sat down all the way, my phone rang, and it was the director. And she said, how did this week go? Da, da, da. And I told her, and I said, yeah, it went really good, because that was the feedback I got. And that's what I experienced, that it was good. I said, this week was good. It was productive. I was able to, pick this up a little bit more. I think I'm starting to understand this process here a little bit better. It's going smoother, this and this and that. She says, that's interesting that you would say that, because that's not the feedback that I got. And I said, really? I said, okay. So I proceed to put my luggage, set my luggage over, and I sit down fully, and I get kind of like listening to her. And I said, what feedback did you get? And even while I'm talking about it right now, it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's making me upset, but I'm telling y'all, the spiritual warfare of it was real. And I said, well, what feedback did you get? She started to tell me stuff that I didn't even know about. She started to, that's when she mentioned the thing about you forgot your bag in the room and you had to go get it and this and that. And I'm like, a big deal. Okay. It's not like we were in the middle of working. We were getting ready to leave and I forgot my bag and I went to go get it. It took less than like 2 minutes. So, okay, I'm getting upset again, but let me just tell y'all the story. Remember, while I'm telling you this, my old boss is like, what you want to do? Like, come back. And my house that I missed that I really didn't want to leave in the first place is still sitting in North Carolina on this golf course. Okay. So I said, I don't understand what you mean. I said, what feedback did you get that didn't just match what I said? Because I was just told that this week was great. I was given, because they give you a sheet at the end. They there's like a check off sheet, like, okay, you a point system, like you did good on this, you did good on that, da, 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 da. But I guess they have these sidebar relationships where they discuss other things about what, oh, I just feel like she forgot her bag and like, da, 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 da. Okay. So she starts to tell me this. And then she said, and I was told that you allowed one of the owners of the business to basically persuade you not to score something that should have been scored and that should have been a fail. And I was like, what? I said, that did not happen. I said, okay. I said, so here's what I can't do. And I told her just like this. I said, I can't compete with lies. I can't compete with lies, because it's one thing to say, okay, you left your bag and you should have remembered your bag or whatever the case. I left my bag. It's one thing to say that, but then to just come up with a whole story to be like, oh yeah, you did this thing too. I said, I can't compete with lies. I said, so maybe I said, this job isn't for me, because if I'm going to be lied on, I'm not going to be able to do this. I said, this is a lot. I said, so basically what you're saying to me is that all these things you're being told about me is leading up to the fact that I'm incompetent, when you hired me because of my competence in my last role. You hired me because of my reputation. And all of a sudden I get here and now I just don't got no common sense. I just ain't doing nothing right. I said, that doesn't even line up with who I am. I said, if I'm going to be in a job where I'm going to be lied on, I said, this probably is not the job for me. So she said, no, well, hold on, Letitia, hold on. Listen, let's just calm down. Cause I was ready to be like, bye. Like I was already not liking it. I was already like hating it, because I already saw the writing on the wall. Like, they are about to make my life difficult for no reason other than the fact that I'm a child of God. That's it. So we're talking and she's like, okay, this is what I want you to do. Then she tries to play this role with me. Like, we don't have many Black women in this role, in this, area, in this department. And I really want you to shine. And I really want you to, and I'm thinking like, I don't have to prove a point to nobody but me and God. Okay. I know what I'm doing. And I also know when somebody is trying to sabotage me. Remember that I told y'all that the minister prophesied and said there's going to be collusion. There's going to be an attempt to sabotage you, to smear your name, and to make you look bad because of jealousy. Okay? Remember I told y'all that. So I started thinking about that and I'm like, okay. She said, just give it a little bit more time. And I just want you to, I want you to shine and I want you to do this and this and that, right? Whatever. I wasn't even really falling for that either, because like, I'm too old to be, you can't just like silk words over into my ear and just make it all silky smooth. And I'm just going to believe that you all on the up and up too. Wrong answer. Because what you should have done. Okay. Now I'm talking like I'm talking to her, y'all. I'm sorry. But in that situation, a leader is going to say, hey, tell me what happened. Okay, well, this is, the feedback that I got. It's going to be a different, she came at me so accusatory, like it was true. She came at me like it was the gospel truth. And I'm just like, this girl that you've been working with for all these years just lied to you on me. And how can I compete with that? I can't. So I'm not going to try. Okay. That was my whole point. So She goes, well, just give it a little bit more time. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, all right. But in my mind, I was like, when I go home this weekend, like Monday, I'm gonna let them know I'm done. But of course, the Lord wouldn't let me do that, right? Because again, he instructed me to take the job because the job is the vehicle. All right. So I obeyed. I kept on, I kept going. Meanwhile, I had to circle back around to the mean girl again, y'all. And this is how you know that it's spiritual warfare. Okay. I'm not just making this stuff up in my head. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna play it cool. I had obviously had to call reinforcements in, had to call prayer warriors in so we could pray because I was ready to just be like, Had to call reinforcements in, excuse me. And the next time I was with this girl, we were in a car, we're driving together, and she's like, yeah, for privacy purposes, I'm gonna call the director Barbara. I'm gonna call her Barbara, okay? And I'm going to call the person that was training me, Jennifer. Okay. I'm going to call her Jennifer. So Barbara's the director. Jennifer's the trainer, one of the trainers. Okay. So we're in the car. I'm in the car with Jennifer. And she's like, yeah, so, I was talking to Barbara. She was asking me for feedback on you. And, I just told her, she asked me if she should be concerned about anything. Y'all, I could have slapped her out that driver's seat, okay? Girl. Anyway, she said, she asked me if I should be concerned about anything, if I have any concerns about your training and this and that. And I said, oh, really? Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, so why would you be telling me that y'all had that conversation? Like, this is the thing about leadership. If you are somebody that's training, that puts you in a leadership position. If you are talking about if you're having a conversation with the director as it relates to me, why are you telling me something that's negative that's going to make me feel like, oh my God, why would you do that? That's not leadership. It's just not. Okay. So she says, yeah, and she asked me if I should be concerned. And I just was kind of like, I just sighed at her like, girl, okay. In my mind, I'm thinking like, did that conversation even really happen? It probably did now that I know what I know. But I said, okay. She said, yeah, and I told her no, everything was great. I guess she wanted to let me know, like, I hold your job in my hands, right? I told her no, that you were good. Everything was great. Da, da, da. And I'm like, okay. And she said, yeah, she always comes to me for things like that because I'm her second in command. And so whenever she, leaves, I'm probably going to take her position. Okay. You want a cracker? You want a cookie? I mean, I don't know. What do you want? Anyway, y'all, I'm getting carnal. Let me get back into spirit. So this video is going to be so long. I'm sorry ahead of time. Okay. So I knew what she was on when she did that. And I was just like, okay, you're telling me, I didn't say this to her, but I'm thinking like, okay, she's telling me she's her second in command. I'm not trying to come here and take your job, girl. I don't even want to do this job. Like, I just came here because God told me to. I'm going to be out pretty soon, So y'all are so crazy. So fast forward, another mean girl enters the picture, right? It just kept being thing after thing after thing after thing after thing, y'all. Thing after thing. I'm talking about thing after thing. It was a nonstop barrage, and it was beating me down spiritually, y'all. It was so difficult. It felt like pressure just caving in on me, right? So fast forward, right? I get through the training, okay? Now, in the beginning, I was told that I would have, after training was over, I would have a week to go home and get my affairs in order in North Carolina, get everything situated. Because remember, I only had weekends to do stuff, right? And the weekends, most of it was resting because it was nonstop through the week. I was told that I would be able to go and have a week to get my stuff and get it here to Texas. Oh no, you know what happened the last day of training? The last day of training, the director was like, okay, so you're going to be in Dallas on Monday, right? And I was like, I haven't even finished like packing my house up. Like barely packed my house up. Like I thought I was gonna have. She's like, oh no, oh no, no. Oh, we expect you to be in your region like the following Monday after training. Y'all, when I tell you, I was beyond. I didn't even. I was at a loss for words. Okay, just like I was just then. Okay, I had to. I had to pay for some of my family members, my mother, my daughter, her best friend. They helped out. They were so amazing. I had to pay to have them go to North Carolina from Ohio to basically pack my house up, and while I was here, I had to pay them to go there and get things ready for moving company to bring my stuff here. Y'all, it was the most stressful time ever. Okay. I'm trying to hurry up because I'm at 40 minutes. Let me bypass that. That was hard. That was so hard. My furniture came, a lot of it was damaged. Oh my God. The moving company damaged a lot of my stuff. It was, when I say it was so much, it was so much. Woo, it was so much. Okay. It was so much, y'all. It was so much. By the time I actually started in my role, I was already exhausted. I was tired. I was like in a daze, like what just happened to me? It was so much going on, right? And all this mean girl stuff. It's just a nonstop thing. Okay. So fast forward. Remember I told y'all I broke my foot. It was one of the most painful experiences ever. It was so painful. So that happens after I had been in the region for 3 months. So I had basically been inspecting and doing my job for 3 months. And then I break my foot. Another setback. I felt so defeated, y'all. I felt so crushed. I felt so like, oh my God, right? So I go to, I end up being off work. I end up being off work for like 8 weeks. I was in a boot. I was on crutches, the whole nine. But get this, when I broke my foot, y'all, this is the kicker. This is how I knew that this job had no intentions of making life comfortable for me, and God wasn't going to allow it to be comfortable for me because I was not supposed to stay. All right. Y'all, this was so painful. I was at the job when this happened, but I wasn't technically working. I was just at the location of the job, but I wasn't actually doing work yet. It wasn't time yet, right? It wasn't time for me to inspect yet, okay? But I was there, and I ended up tripping and breaking my foot, and that's how that happened. So I had to call my director. It was probably a few hours before I was supposed to start, right? I had to call the director, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even stand. Like, I can't even stand on my foot. Like, I think I might have broke my foot. And she's like, oh my God, oh no. I'm like, luckily for me, there was a hospital directly across the street from where I was supposed to be doing this inspection at. So I was able to get over there. Sure enough, they took x-rays. You broke your foot. Yeah, you're going to have to be off of it for 8 weeks. You got to be on crutches. I'm like, oh my God, this is not happening to me right now. This is not happening to me right now. I've only been doing this job for 3 months. It just seemed like it was hit after hit coming, right? But remember, I said I was tired when I got here. And I kept saying to God over and over and over, Lord, I'm tired. I'm tired, Lord. I just need some rest. Y'all, it felt like I had been up for like 48 hours the whole 2.5 months, the whole time from the training all the way into the 3 months that I was here in Dallas. It felt like I had been up without any sleep. That's how tired I was, just the exhaustion of it all, right? I called my director, y'all. I'm literally just finished getting my x-rays, just got all the paperwork, them telling me I got to follow up with my doctor. This is what's going on. They gave me pain medication. They did what they had to do, put me in the boot, the whole nine. I got crutches, all of the whole nine, okay? I call my director to tell her what the outcome was of what happened. And she said, oh my goodness. Well, I broke my foot before, and I was only off work for 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, well, hopefully I won't be off for more than 2 weeks because, again, I've never broken my foot before. So how would I know the healing process and what it's going to take? I'm just going by what the doctors say, right? She said, I've never been off work. I wasn't off work for more than 2 weeks. I was back to work really quick. And I was like, oh, well, hopefully the same thing happens to me. This is what I say to her, right? So I said, well, let me send you the paperwork and everything, and sent her the paperwork and all that. Y'all, they ended up putting me on light duty at home, right? So I was able to work from home, doing administrative work and everything, which was good, okay? Because I didn't have to be off work. So I got to do administrative work and everything, y'all. So I'm doing that. And we did what we call our check-ins every week, right? We did our video conferences, our weekly check-ins to see how I'm doing, any questions, keep me up to speed on things changing. Because if you don't know anything about corporate, nothing stays the same. It's like this. Everything change. Every week something new. Every month something new. You doing this week, you doing this? Nope, we're gonna change it next week. Next week we change it. We're gonna do that for 2 months. Let's do it this way. Nothing is consistent in a corporate environment. It changes nonstop. It's almost like they change stuff so you don't get comfortable with nothing, right? I don't know. But anyway, so keeping me up to date on this stuff, right? So, y'all, she said, so, Letitia, how's everything coming along with your foot? Are you, how? I said, well, it's still hard for me to walk on it. I said, I've been trying to walk without the crutches, but I'm having a difficult time. And she said, oh my God. She said, I can't even imagine what kind of pain that must be. I've never broken a bone in my body, so I would not know what that feels like. Now, heifer, didn't you just tell me that you broke your foot and you were back to work in 2 weeks? Breaking your foot means breaking a bone. Am I right? Yeah, that means you broke a bone. You didn't sprain it. You didn't twist it a certain way. You fractured a bone that had to be put together to stay together so it can heal and mend, right? Y'all, when she said that, I was like, why did she lie? You know why? Because corporate does not care. They want you working. They don't care about your bones being broke. They don't care about none of that. When you gonna be back to work? When we gonna get this week performance? It's about performance. It's about producing. So that was so disappointing to me, but it was enlightening. It was disappointing on the one hand because this is somebody that was trying to, talk scripture with me and talk God with me. Okay. Which I kind of seen through it though, but I was wanting to believe the hype. Okay. But I knew it was too good to be true because of what I experienced with her during my training and how she was just believing all this nonsense. I'm thinking like, girl, if you talking about God and all this and you throwing scriptures at me like you just a mother in the church, why don't you have enough discernment to see that it's some nonsense going over here with these people? Why you believing this? You can't see through that? Anyway, I digress. So, y'all, when she said that, I was just like, wow, okay. So after that, it begins to be more things, okay? We were having a team meeting one time, and I said something. They were asking us if we had any questions about a different procedures that were going to be implemented. That was like a kind of like a department shaking kind of thing, right? And they asked everybody if they had questions. And people had questions, but a lot of people had politically correct questions, right? I've never been a politically correct person, but I do know how to conduct myself professionally, right? And what I said was like, oh, I'm so glad that you all cleared that up because I think that, there were some concerns about, is this going to impact this, and that, okay? Put it like this. After that, I got a phone call from her saying, why would you say there were some concerns? Like it was like more than you. And I said, well, I mean, colleagues, we do discuss concerns about procedures, and you all said that you had heard chatter and that you had knew everybody was concerned about this, and if we had questions or feedback. And it was like, well, no, you shouldn't have said there were some concerns. You should just said I had some concern. Girl, don't tell me how to talk. Don't tell me how to talk. I'm almost 50. Don't tell me how to talk, okay? I'm 50 now. At the time, I was almost 50. But let me fast forward and get to the part, okay? Because I done went almost 50 minutes and I have not given y'all the blessing in all of this. Y'all, I ended up having to take a leave of absence because the job was just it was harming me mentally. It was harming me physically. I was having a lot of things happen stress wise with my body, health issues, and it was due to the job. Okay, so I started going to my doctor more regularly. Now my doctor, she knew what I did for work, but she didn't know what I did here on the platform. She didn't know anything about YouTube, okay? And when I was considering like, okay, I don't think I'm supposed to go back to work because again, if you guys seen my other testimony, I talked about how years ago I told God that I wanted to be able to minister the gospel, uplift his people without having people have to do something, have to go in their pocket, right? I wanted to be able to do this for a living. And YouTube has provided that platform for me to do it. It's provided the means for me to live, maintain my life, so to speak, without having anybody reach in their pocket to say, I'm going to take up a collection plate, basically. I don't have to take an offering. So if somebody sends me a Cash App or a PayPal, or if they buy a book from me, or if they join my mentorship class, it's because they want to. It's not required because I'm going to show up regardless, okay? But I prayed and asked the Lord that some years ago. And when I obeyed him, after I broke my foot, I was in the house and I was feeling down. And God said, go on YouTube and encourage my people. And that's what I did. And that is why we are here today. Okay. So I still was holding on to the job, even after the time came where I really didn't need to. Okay. Got income coming in from my home, I've turned my home into a rental property, all these things. I didn't need to still hold on to the job. But again, I started slipping into this corporate comfort of the benefits and the bonuses and the stuff, the free vehicle, so to speak, all the things that come when you have a corporate job. There are a lot of conveniences that come, but they come at the expense of your health. They come at the expense of your spirit, man, being okay. All right. So y'all, I went to my doctor and I was supposed to go back to work. I think I was going to say like 2 weeks later after my doctor's appointment. And she said, are you ready to go back to work? And I said, well, not really, but I guess I better get ready or whatever. And so we're talking everything. My doctor is awesome. And again, she doesn't know anything about my personal life. She just knows I have this job that's highly stressful, and she recommended that I take some time off because it was harming me. Okay. I needed a break because y'all, stuff was happening that was scaring me. Like I was almost having car accidents because it was so much go, 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 go. It was like I was in this fast paced mode, and I was always seemed like I was always trying to just do and go. Right. And I told her, I said, I'm not sure if I want to go back. I said, but I know I probably need to go back. And she said, well, have you looked for any other jobs while you were off? Did you use that time to look for some jobs while you were off? And I was like, no, I didn't need to do that because, I have my thing that I do on the side, and, that brings me income. And I also do coaching. And she was like, what? So I said, yeah. She was like, wait a minute. Why haven't you told me this? And I said, I don't know. I said, I just, it's something that I've been wanting to do full time. but I just, didn't really feel comfortable doing it. So she said, well, what is it okay if I know? Like, well, I said, yeah. So I pointed her to the channel. Y'all, my doctor, her mouth dropped open so wide. And she looked at me. She said, Letitia, why are you even thinking about going back to this job that caused you to be sick, that is literally sucking the life out of you? She said, this is your purpose. This is your call. She said, oh my God. She said, I never say this to my patients. Never. She said, and I probably shouldn't be saying it now. She said, don't go back to the job. She said, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And she said, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out and you got to go back to work in 6 months. Give it 6 months. If it's not working out and it's not what you thought it was going to be, or you feel like you can't do the full-time thing on your own, or it's not, you're not making the money that you thought, go back to work. Give it 6 months. And she said, no, this is what's going to happen. She said, you're going to leave your job, and in 6 months, you are going to double your salary with what you do now. She said, instead of you flying in economy all the time, you're going to fly first class. And the people at your job that cause you all the stress and the strain, you're going to turn around and you're going to look at them and they're going to be in coach. They're going to be in economy. She didn't stop there, y'all. She said, Letitia, you are going to be traveling all over the world, touching women all over the world. She said, let me tell you my story, and maybe this will encourage you. She said, I was working at a hospital, and this is working for corporate. She said, when you work for corporate, you're not able to treat your patients the way that you want to. You can't prescribe them things the way that you want to. You really can't give them the best care that you see fit. You have to do it by the standards of the hospital. She said, and I knew that I could best help my patients if I had my own practice. She said, but I was scared because I knew the money that I made at the hospital. And I knew starting my own practice would mean I would have to get my own patients and I would have to get my reputation out there and build my clientele. She said, and I was so afraid to do it. And she said, but you know what? I did it. She said, and Letitia, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It was the best decision I ever made. I would never go back to a corporate job again. I would never go back to working for the hospital again. Then she proceeded to tell me about a colleague of hers who was practicing as well and left the profession to follow her dream of fashion. And she has become a multimillionaire based off of doing content on Instagram. This is my doctor telling me this, y'all. This is my doctor telling me this. She said, Letitia, why are you even considering going back to that job? And I was literally in tears. Because it's one thing for you to know, like, how we get scared to take these leaps of faith, right? And we go like, I don't know, we kind of double dutching on a decision, right? Like, I don't know, we back and forth, right? Ready to jump, not jump, not jump, right? Because of the unknown, right? And for me, the comfort zone was, all right, I know this paycheck that I'm getting every 2 weeks. I know this bonus I'm getting every year is going to be big. I know I got this vehicle. I know that I have this insurance. I know that I have all these things. But at the same time, I really make enough money to be able to do all that on my own. I mean, I just do. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it was at that point, the job had just become additional income. Like, it was like I would get paid and didn't even realize I got my paycheck. Like, that's how much God has blessed, y'all. So the moral of the story after recording for 60 minutes is trust God. Trust God, okay? Trust God. Not only will he do what he said he was going to do, he'll confirm it along the way. He'll confirm it through people. I had the one guy, the minister, prophesied to me that God was going to do these incredible things and that I was going to be moving to another state when I hadn't even planned on moving at that time. That wasn't in my brain at that time. He prophesied this stuff to me and told me how successful it was going to be. Then after that, after I said yes to the job, here comes another minister to prophesy to me that there's going to be some sabotage. There's going to be some people that come and try to dismantle your reputation, and they are going to attack you. But the Lord says, do not fear. He has you. Listen, y'all, then all the things, all the signs, the attacks seemed like they came immediately after that. Like soon as I started, I was like, oh my God, she called it out. She said it. Okay. And it actually happened. So really, God was preparing me for what was coming. He was letting me know, like, this is what's getting ready to happen. Brace yourself, because again, the job is just the vehicle for you to get there. It's not for you to stay there. Amen. And then my doctor prophesied into my life. Y'all, he will use whoever. Okay. Look, this was a long story / testimony, but I wanted to share with you the benefits of yes. The benefits of surrender, the benefits of obeying God, the benefits of just saying, God, okay, I don't understand it, but I'm going to say yes anyway. I don't like it. God. It doesn't feel good, but I'm going to say yes because I know at the end of it, a blessing awaits. My reward awaits. Listen, my husband was here in Dallas, Texas. My husband was here. I didn't come here for the job. My husband was here. The ministry started here. God began to fulfill his promises here. Listen, y'all, trust him all the way. Trust him all the way. You cannot go wrong. I promise you, you will not be sorry. Just say yes. Just obey, even when it don't feel good, even when you don't want to. And watch God do more than you even think that he will. More than what you think he is capable of doing in your life, y'all. I'm mind blown. And listen, not only was my husband here, not only did the ministry start here, I told you all that the Lord gave me dreams years ago, and I saw these windows. I saw the doors. I saw this place, y'all, years before Dallas, Texas was even in my sight. God confirms it. He confirms it. That's why when a confirmation comes, you know it's him because it was already in your spirit. God put so many things in place to let me know, yeah, time is going to come where you're going to be in this house and you don't want to move because you're going to think this is all I have for you. This is it right here. But I'm going to remind you by allowing you to see what I showed you years ago when you get there. Confirmation. Glory to God. The same thing happened when I went to North Carolina, y'all. This is how God works. Okay. So I'm not going to take no more of your time up. I wanted to share this with you today. I hope it encourages somebody. Spiritual warfare. Yeah, it happens. It happens usually when you're on the right path. Okay. So be blessed on today. I love you on today. God loves you so much more. Say yes, surrender, obey, and watch the favor follow. Watch God overflow you. Watch him confirm things to you in a way that cannot be denied. Until next time, I'll see you soon.